Hey, I am so glad you're here this week. I found my old friend Keri and made her come back. So I hope you see her all the flipping time because, listen, talking to a blank screen is just not as much fun as talking to your gorgeous face.
Uh-uh.
And you always have the best things you want to talk about. So I'm always game. I'm like, sure, let's talk about it.
I feel kind of spicy about things a lot.
Listen, I
What can
just
I?
recorded a podcast earlier on gray roots and I think they were going to have to throw water in my face. I was getting so fired up. I was like, yeah, I can get fired up. So I'm all for it. I mean, if I'm not known for anything else, it's speaking the truth. So I love that we're going to talk about whatever it is. You brought this topic to me. I don't
Yeah.
even know what we're going to talk about really, what it means. You set the topic and I was like, that sounds interesting and cool, but I don't know where you're going with it. So I'll jump in. So let's just tell them
Okay. So
what you sent.
what's funny is that I was, so I was thinking about it the last couple days and just kind of mulling this over in my head. I was like, do I get to swear on this podcast? I don't think I do, so I'm gonna really try to hold
Okay.
it in. I
Yeah,
was like,
I don't think we have gone to the swearing yet on this podcast, so we have not put the alert to parents to watch their little ones' ears. I think if
well,
we'll
think that
keep it PG.
uh, because honestly, I was like, your kids get to the point where we're in a rhythm of homeschooling. We know it's almost 15. So my oldest is almost 15. We've been doing this from the beginning. And I think there comes a point where you start reflecting back on who you were in different stages.
Right.
And thinking back to who I was 10 years ago when I first met you. And the piece of there is so much hope in front of you. Not that there's no hope now, but it's like I was just overcome with that of hope and vision of what could be and what our school will look like. And now I'm simply living in the reality of what is.
Right. I get
And so
that.
I think that's where it comes from. But I realized, I was like, man, do you know how dirty I was done by listening? And this is my own listening to homeschool experts. Many of them are. But thankfully, I at least had you coming in when I was at the beginning with our first encounter of trust your gut, you know what's best for your kid. So I at least had that voice in my head. But in thinking back, I realized you sit at all these conferences or listening to podcasts, reading books, and everybody talks to you about getting to know your kids. What kind of learners are your children? How do your children learn best? What does your child need? And I don't think I once heard anybody say, who are you? How do you teach best? What gives you life? Do you know yourself? Do you know what makes you angry? Do you know what makes you feel like you want to jump through a window? And because of that, I think I just ended up chasing someone else's best. Not chasing my own best, but chasing someone else's
Hmm.
best.
Okay.
And I think it did me kind of dirty. And that's not anybody else's fault. It's simply a part of learning. But I'm like, man, what if I actually would have started learning about me?
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I do. I do know what you mean, and I think that's huge.
Because there were so many times when I think I heard people talking about a successful homeschool and what that looked like and how to do it. And we don't take into consideration personality of the
Mm.
parent. We'll talk all
Yeah.
day about personality of the kids,
Yeah.
but I found that I was really attracted to women whose personalities were very different from mine
Okay.
because they had a quality that I wanted.
What was it? What were you drawn to?
I was always drawn to the happy, excited, organized energetics.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah.
we all kind of find the things that where we find ourselves lacking.
Sure. Yeah.
And the way I think I always had a vision of who I thought I should be more than who I actually was. And I think it's taken a lot of time to come to know and be comfortable with and identify the gifts that come with being me and who I am.
So if you were that homeschool expert, because listen, you are at this point, 15 years in, you've got a lot of people look to you, and you were designing a course or a talk at a conference for a young mom walking in, much like you were those years ago. Where would you start? Where would you tell them to start?
Say, if you can afford it, you should be in therapy.
Absolutely. I love that answer.
Like, period.
Yeah, period.
If you can't afford it, you need to be have some tool. Have some tool to learn more about who you are and what makes you unique. What makes you unique, what makes you see the world in a different way than your friends.
Mm.
We see the world so differently, like fundamentally in different ways. And for me, that was learning the Enneagram was kind of my our gateway to being censured on Christian homeschool podcast network.
Yes, that might have been the last podcast I did on that other show that I had. I think it was about Enneagram, and I think you were involved.
I got you in trouble.
You did get me in trouble. There are plenty of people who are in the faith community who do believe the Enneagram is of the devil. So I was definitely called out on that and felt like that was the sign that I was no longer supposed to be on that network. So here we are. We're on the Play Skillfully podcast now. Say whatever the heck you want. You can talk about the Enneagram. You can talk about it all.
But that was huge for me because it just was this moment of like, oh, we're all actually very, very different and
Very different. Yeah.
not different in like just surface level things, but like in a what motivates us. And I think that's what drew me to the Enneagram was it talks about like what is actually motivating you. How do you actually see the world? And learning about myself that I tend to be a pretty melancholy person, and that's not wrong.
Hmm.
And it let me look at my kids who are a little bit more melancholy and go, that's not wrong. You don't have to be the bouncy little gummy bear child.
Right. Right.
And we don't have to have the bouncy little gummy bear homeschool to have a very good environment for our family.
I love that. So if a mom is new, you would tell her, one, get into therapy. Two, if she can't get into therapy, do some self work on your own, like the Enneagram or any of the temperament tests. I think there are several
Yeah.
others.
Myers-Briggs or
Myers-Briggs that gives you just an insight and some behind the scenes of yourself, because I think what you said earlier is key. Not only how you learn best, what gets you excited, also what gets you upset. Because I am here to tell you, if you don't think you get upset in parenting, you wait till you homeschool your kids. And chances are you're going to get upset because there are going to be some things that just dig at you and cause you to flip the freak out. And I think it's important to know some of those triggers beforehand.
for sure. And to know just the awareness that comes with that. That maybe this isn't about homeschooling's not working. Maybe this isn't about isn't good for my kid. Maybe it's about you feel self-conscious when you feel like you don't know what you should.
Right.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's you are subconsciously comparing yourself and what's happening, the way you're homeschooling, what your kids are doing, you're comparing that to other people. Yeah, because there is always something that will trigger you for some reason. You just may not know why or what that is. But if we can just be aware of what's going on with us. I think I had a moment, and I don't know if I was like, I don't know if it was through talking with you or just kind of like just one of those moments where I was like, oh, shoot, I matter here too. Everything had been so about the kids and what they need. And I was trying to find what would work for the kids, and all of a sudden I was like, hold up. They need a well-adjusted, peaceful, happy mom. I think that's most important. And if I'm miserable trying to make everything work for them and trying to teach in a way that does not give me life, they're not learning. So it kind of became my mantra, like, I matter too. I'm a part of this. That's not selfish to say.
No, no.
And I think it gets treated, especially in a lot of these circles, it's like you just sacrifice the crap out of yourself and give to your children. And I'm like, we're leaving our children with mothers who are not whole
Yeah,
because
and I don't listen, and I don't want to go that these are all the homeschool experts because I'm sure I'm guilty. I'm sitting here listening to the talks that I give at conferences, and I'm sure I'm guilty of saying some of these things. I mean, and I think that it is something maybe that just hadn't been even thought of. Like in the moment you're giving that talk on this, I don't know, this narrow path of directing someone into the homeschooling without giving the full picture. And I think that's what you're saying is, okay, we're not giving the full picture. We're only giving this piece with kids and look at them and make sure, but the full picture is it's a family situation. It's a family environment. Every member matters. Every person involved in this has a stake at it, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and I certainly wouldn't put any of it on the homeschooling experts. It was me. It was how I was internalizing what I was hearing. And so I would take what I was hearing and internalize it in a way and like try to figure out how I could get to this situation that I had created in my head from listening to all these experts. So I hear the experts talking about all the things, or I hear the other homeschool parents. I mean, because oftentimes it wasn't even coming from experts. Like a lot of it was from podcasts I would listen to, and like I would listen and I would craft a picture of where I thought I wanted to go from there. And it was just such this ideal, like, dreamland, not understanding, how do you even put it? Like not even understanding what the messiness could be. Honestly, I think that's why I connected to you and your hot mess
Because I am
declaration, because it was just,
fully that.
I just finally felt okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is how it's supposed to feel.
Right.
Instead of this like buttoned up picture that I'd created in my head.
And I do think that's common, and I do think it could be even worse now because 10 plus years ago, come on, social media wasn't anything like it is now. So now, if you are a new person diving into this and you scroll across some of these very aesthetically pleasing Instagram pages, I don't know that I would have kept going. I think I would have doubted myself so much in just who I was as a person. And I can't even keep up with that as a trying to do social media myself. I doubt myself. And here I am, a 57-year-old woman almost. I can't imagine a 30-year-old mom thinking I'm tackling this schooling my kid and I'm comparing myself. So I bet that not only are moms feeling like you felt, I wouldn't be surprised if they aren't feeling even more doubtful and even more insecure than you felt because of what the experts are showing them and telling them today.
For sure. And I don't think it comes from a bad place. I think it all comes from a good place of wanting to help. I think we naturally again, we see the world so differently. So I take my lens through which I see the world and I absorb all this information through that lens and file it away in my own unique way. Nope, nobody else knows. Like it can be completely unintended. But like you said, like I am drawn to beauty. Beauty fuels my soul. It is what keeps me going. And these beautiful homeschools with these wooden tables and their children sitting by candlelight, like it had
Or knitting or cross stitching or
making sourdough bread.
and the mom, the dad, or whoever has just killed the family pet for a meal. I mean, it's just all Kelly Brotherton. It's all too much.
And they're teaching a lesson about the cycle of life in their
Yes, and they're
soothing
so
voice.
beautiful. I know. Yes, and their Delilah voice. And I'm over here, "Did you get your freaking math done?" No, I'm not doing that most days.
But like some days,
But some days I did. Yeah.
But I think that's why I was saying, like, this is how it ruined me for so long.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
like they ruined me. It was I
Right.
was me by one, not being aware of who I was and that I was uniquely different from others.
Mm,
I remember listening to one specific podcast by a woman, if you know the Enneagram at all, she was for sure an Enneagram 7.
mm,
Okay. So I'm an Enneagram 4. We both have very big feelings, but kind of in different areas of the
yeah.
feelings wheel. But she also there was that one that's sanguine. She was a sanguine, and she
Yes.
was talking about fruit of the spirit is
She
joy.
loved to party. Yep.
Yeah. And the fruit of the spirit is joy. And so if you have Jesus living in you, you will be exuding joy. Exuding joy. You will be exuding joy with your children. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I remember I remember
I could see that. Yeah.
yeah,
Not
and I
in
was
you, but just in general, anybody hearing that
like,
isn't a
um,
7 and a sanguine.
right. So I'm like, what is wrong with me? She meant it from the best place through her lens that she sees the world. Uh
Mhm.
would never, I'm certain that this woman never would have intended for it to be like an arrow into my heart. Never. But because at that point, I didn't see how different, I just thought, we're all mothers, we're all women, we're all people. And so this is how people should be. And I am not that.
Mm,
What's wrong with me? And
that's heartbreaking.
then I would hear other people talk about consistency. Consistency is key. Consistency is key. At this point, I have no idea that I have been living with ADHD my entire life, and I can't figure out why I can't get myself to do the same thing every day. I can't do it. And I am just inside my head, I am saying the most unkind things to myself. And it never helped my homeschool. It never helped my mothering. It never helped my heart. It never helped my friendships. It just down. And like the more I learned just about who I was, who I am uniquely made to be, and what I bring to the table for my kids, that was when I could start listening. I'm to the point where I'm able to start listening to podcasts, reading books, taking in more of that information again, because now I have all these filters to go through, and I can take what's for me and leave the rest,
Yeah.
you know?
Man, such a maturity. That shows so much maturity on your part to be able to do that because I don't know about how you were, but for me, I am definitely guilty if I hear a podcast, if I read a book and the presentation is powerful, I will immediately think I needed to apply it, especially when I was younger. I mean, if the presentation was great, whether it was the book or I'd be like, oh yeah, this is what I've got to do this. I mean, for example, I remember someone did a presentation on being organized and they promoted this book. I don't even remember the name of it, but it was like the large family handbook or something. I don't know. And it was how to create your day in 15-minute intervals. And I thought, oh, this is amazing. I have a large family. I should do that. And this will be so good for us. Everything will be planned out. And Keri, can I tell you, it took me 3 days probably to plan out the schedule. And after the first day of trying to implement it, I mean, what in the world? Why? Why did I even think that was me? Because it is the furthest me. I'm like, we get up about the same time, we do about the same thing. We have routines, but I would never be I'm just not built that way. But yet the presentation was so good. And I bought right in and went and bought the book immediately. And I think that's what a lot of us do. I think
Yeah.
that's why you walk out of those homeschool conferences with piles of books that you never open because you buy into it without really knowing yourself because you're still younger. Most of the time you don't really know yourself and have confidence in who you are and even what it should look like. So I think what you're saying, gosh, it's so powerful.
Well, and if I can just let everybody know, I'm not getting paid for this plug at all. But if I can just plug Homegrown Preschooler here and just say,
Stop it.
it is, I'm telling you, it was the first, it's like the only thing I've used for many, many years. And now when I say I use it, it's like all stuck in my head. I don't often actually open the curriculum because I
Right.
just do it. But it was finally this thing that I found that didn't make me feel bad about myself because it wasn't, again, when I bought it, I didn't know I was an adult with ADHD and it let me go, what works for me today? What do I have in the house today? Oh, what can we like it? And so for more organized people, it's so easily like put together really nicely. But for me, I often feel like a failure because I'm not consistent and I fly by the seat of my pants with most everything. It finally let me feel successful. And it was finally something that like gave me life. And I think that's why it's like the thing that one homeschool thing that I ride hard on the last 11 years.
That's the sweetest thing ever. The reason that it's written that way is for people like you and for me. It's also, we tried to make it flexible for every type of mom. But what we knew after many years of homeschooling is most of us feel smothered by a Monday, do this, and Tuesday, because in a home situation, it is often that the toilet has just overflowed on Monday when you were supposed to do these 5 lessons, or Henry threw up on Tuesday when you were supposed to accomplish these 3 lessons, and by Wednesday you're already behind, and then you're facing, do I skip Monday and Tuesday? And if I skip Monday and Tuesday, are my kids now going to be behind? And maybe that was the very thing that would get them the scholarship in college, and I've just ruined it. We never wanted a mom to feel that way. We wanted them to have the freedom to, this works for us today, this works for us tomorrow, and know that little children need to repeat things anyway, so it's okay to repeat it. You already have the supplies, you just pull it back out. And that was the thought.
Yeah, I think you succeeded at it.
Well,
very
thank you.
well. And it's one of those from like, I don't work for a curriculum. Curriculums work for me. I'm boss here. So they do what I say, and it just naturally fit in a time when I wasn't at that place yet,
Right.
of being able to say, no, you do what I say. I'm the boss.
Right.
And it just naturally fit that and kind of gave me confidence. And then I also saw that when I leaned into those things and giving myself permission to do things the way I wanted to do them, they were learning and having fun, and we were building relationship. And like, it's just that magical thing that happens when we embrace our own strengths, our own superpowers. Because those are the things that have wired us naturally to be this child's mom anyway.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. So if we were talking to these new moms and we've told them to get therapy and we've told them to take some temperament test, what else do you think? What else do you think you wish you would have known back in those early days that maybe you got misinformation or took it wrong? What clarity would you have liked to have had?
I think I would have I wish I would have had the question of what's for me. So I listened to a podcast, and instead of like glugging it down, listen to it through the lens of, this is this person's story and this person's experience. Is any of this for me?
Excellent. I love that.
And then once you've decided, like, is any of this for me? And maybe you choose, like, you just tell yourself, I'm only letting one thing be for me from a podcast. If you are a drinker inner of all the things, you're like, I will listen to this podcast and I will choose one thing to hold on to take. I'm not even going to let myself take more than that. I will choose one, and I will gently see how that fits into my world and into who I am as a teacher.
I think that's huge, because this is a conference season. If you are a homeschooler who loves to attend a conference, we are gearing up for that. It's time where you're going to go and you're going to spend a few days listening to 10 speakers you could listen to over a couple of days. If you're like gung-ho listening to them, that's a lot of information, and not a lot of the same information. I mean, you could have 2 experts telling you 2 very different things, even from discipline to scheduling to what curriculum you need. And so I think by saying, okay, I'm going to take one thing, whether it's a podcast or in person, that's still 10 things you could go home with and have to filter through.
And that's so much.
That's so much. So, would you have any advice for them if they are heading to a conference for the first time? Where would you tell them to go in the conference, and how would you give them advice of how to navigate that?
So you look at your conference schedule and you see if Kathy Eggers is on there. And
stop. This is not no. I mean, yes, but no.
Of hers, she's a good hang.
Not This was not a promotion piece. Yeah.
Okay, so honestly,
Yeah.
I would get
Honestly.
really, really comfortable. Choose more than one session per time slot. If you're like, I'm gonna go to the sessions, which is how I was for many years. Go
Yeah.
to all the sessions. The only reason I go now is because the place where it's held, that the one I like to go to, is at a resort that has a really cool swimming pool and a swim up bar. And so I go to about 3 sessions.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I want to go with
I
you.
go to about 3 sessions for the whole conference. I choose the things that really make me feel inspired. I wander the conference hall and then I just reset. 'Cause I'm like, I need to reset. I don't need all the extra voices. But if I was still in the place of, I'm going to go to a session, every single one, okay, I would choose more than one that I like the looks of, not just find my top for everyone, and then get really comfortable being okay walking out.
Good for you. Yeah.
Like, you sit your sweet little booty in the back of that room and you give it 10 minutes. And if you're like, I don't think this is for me, walk out.
Yeah. I
Walk
am
out.
not offended when people walk out of my
No.
sessions. Not that many do, of course, but no, some do. But
Again, because you're a delight. But
well,
like,
you're
if
very
it's not
sweet.
for
But
you, or if you
no.
if you start feeling like my shoulders are really tense, oh, my
Yes.
chest, like I really have started paying attention to like, what is my body doing
Mm-hmm.
during this? If your body is responding in a way that you're starting to feel stressed, or you feel like you should, if you start shoulding on yourself, that's a
Mhm.
good sign to like, I should probably remove this is not good for my soul. Leave. Go to the
That is
next
okay.
one.
Yes. Go to
Like,
the next one.
you're finding you're not here to make speakers feel good about themselves.
That's right.
You're here to find a couple nuggets to go home with. That's it.
That's right.
That would be is like, change that mindset of like, I need to absorb everything and I need to absorb everything now, to, I'm coming for a couple nuggets. That's all, like just a couple nuggets and a reset. And maybe a big old stack of construction paper from that booth that is always there that has the
Miller pattern paper.
construction paper. Love it.
Yes, Miller pattern paper. I love them too. And I think the other thing I would say is listen, there's such a wide variety of people speaking at these conferences. Do not take it as if it is the only way. I mean, many of those people are sharing their experience, their wisdom, yes, but it might not be what you need to hear, and it might not be what you need to apply, and it might not be what you even agree with. All of that is okay. Just because someone said it is so does not mean it has to be so for you or your homeschool.
Mhm.
Question everything. It is okay to question. Like, I love it when people come up and say, well, in fact, I posted a TikTok yesterday about dysregulation and how telling someone to calm down, telling your child to calm down when they're dysregulating is never going to teach them to calm down, right? I mean, it just never is going to happen. You've got to give them techniques. And so, but I love, there was a question or comment that said, okay, well, I witnessed this lady. The kid was having a fit. She ignored the kid. They went out to the car. The kid is still screaming and was hitting her, and she wasn't doing anything. How would you suggest she handled that? I loved it. They were saying, okay, girl, you tell me this isn't okay. Give me some practical advice. Let me know. And I love that. It is okay to question. Go up to a presenter. If you didn't understand what they said or you weren't sure you agreed with it, most of them have booths in the vendor hall. Go ask them to clarify. Don't ever go home feeling like you don't have the answer or you're questioning yourself as a parent, a homeschooler, because of something they said. Get
Yeah.
clarification.
Well, and just the idea that like, we're all just people here. So
Absolutely.
some people may have more experience with you. They don't have more experience with your kids.
100%.
You have the most experience with your kids. Probably one of the best pieces of advice I got years ago from a friend who has older kids. I'm like asking her about like all these different subjects, still like in this mindset of like, I'm not doing enough. And she goes, Keri, all you have to do is decide, what does this child need next? Just one thing. What does this child need to learn next? You know what we did for one of my children's entire 3rd or 4th grade year? She needed self-regulation.
Mm,
But you know what we did every day? We worked on self-regulation. And when we could, we added in math. We read
mm.
aloud. We did audiobooks as much as I could get this child to. But that was the most important thing
Yeah.
that, and there was nothing about that year that looked like, I'll cry, that looked like this beautiful homeschool that I had envisioned with candles and kittens running. I mean, there were kittens running around, but like it
Hot
wasn't
tea.
good.
Yeah.
Not in the good, cute way. And it was exactly what we needed to do. It just wasn't what I had filed in my head as I was listening to all these different things and doing all the shoulding. I'm saying shoulding, not for the listener.
No cursing has occurred.
But when I was doing that to myself, like that's not what it looked like. You know, I don't believe in the word behind, but even if I did, she's not behind. That did not set us back a freaking lick.
Same for us. A year in Guatemala didn't set us back a
Mm-mm.
year. Not at all. I mean, in fact, probably in a lot of ways set us forward because my kids got to experience things
Yeah.
that they wouldn't have. And your daughter got to grow in a way she wouldn't been allowed to in a typical setting.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is so good. I think it's probably something people aren't talking about. So I'm glad that you had the idea to talk about it. Is there any final words you want to close with before we wrap this week up?
I think if there's anything I would say to close is it's okay. I think that's just my mantra these days. It's like it's okay.
And you're
If
okay.
and you're okay. And if there is a speaker who's happens to be listening who's like, "Oh, I shouldn't say this and I should say the exact right." That's not a thing that exists either. Like
Right.
we're just constantly trying to do the right thing and it's just not that easy. We're all doing the best we can with the information we have in the moment and I think it's okay. You're okay. We're okay. It's okay. You
I
know?
love that. I do. And I love that you are willing to share all of that. Thanks.